wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last. I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
That was the great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Raid's Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. Easy, you do better with introductions more than myself. Who do we have with us on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who is listening at home, everyone who's watching, I really want you to understand how incredible this human being is. Okay, this human being has been called by my brother from another mother, my mister from another sister, Tristan Powell, my phenomenal guitar player.
Right.
This man is a living, breathing art exhibit. I love him to death. Absolutely amazing. He is more than just a single concept. And when you think you have the answers, he changes the flippin' questions. Falconeer is actually with us in winged person.
Greetings. Thank you for that illustrious introduction. Wow. My reputation precedes me, apparently.
It does. It does, good sir. Good sir. How have you been?
Pretty good. You know, considering all the stuff that's been going on in the past year, I think I've made the most of it.
No, you definitely have, and that's one of the one main reasons why we wanted to have you on. You are, yes, you're a musician, you're a phenomenal musician, but you're also an incredible visual artist.
Thank you.
And you had one of the best, most creative live streams during this entire pandemic aspect.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, really love that. And what made you decide to be like, hey, you know, I'm going to step outside of myself and I'm going to loop and I'm going to walk around in circles, and you're going to think that there's 19 cameras here, but it's just me and my cell phone, and we're playing with your mind.
Well, I had shows booked and then the world shut down. So people were asking me like, hey, Falconeer, what's going on with these shows you have booked? And obviously they were all canceled. And I kind of looked around my apartment and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a nerd.
Right.
I have everything I need to do do a show from my apartment. And luckily, I mean, you can't see it, but my green screen just kind of like lives over there from now on, because I've been using it so much recently. But yeah, I set up the green screen. I learned how to use this program called OBS, which is free, and it's specifically for streaming, and it's awesome. And just threw a show together, and honestly, that kept me sane for about 2 weeks. Just learning all that and putting it all together, and then finally putting it on, and it was great. It's one of the, in my opinion, even though no one was here to actually see it in person, it was one of my best shows.
Well, now,
sorry, I didn't. If you didn't even say green screen, I would have thought that was his actual apartment, because it's totally entire. Like, I did not realize that at first.
No, he the green screen's to his right. The green screen is over there. That is his apartment.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he has a full green screen and the whole 9 yards. It lives in the corner. But that's something that we actually haven't talked about with the musicians, the artists that we've had on. You know, do you find a difference in playing live stream shows to playing live shows?
Yes, and one is a lot lonelier.
Okay, well played. Yes.
I mean, you're a musician, like, you know what it's like to be at a live venue and have people responding to your music. even if they have their hands in their pockets, but like their heads swaying a little bit,
Mhm.
all the way up to like they're completely hammered and they are like
Right.
spinning all over your equipment and dancing right in front of you, and it's awesome. Either one's awesome. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. However, silver linings, things kind of even out with the live stream is I have complete control over my show when I live stream. And no offense to any of the venues I've ever played, everyone does their best and it's usually pretty great, but I'm a one-man show. And I'm not used to giving creative control to other people. I've tried it. Dustin knows I've tried it. And things typically just I think it's better when I control the quality of everything.
Right. No, it definitely flows better. And it's also because you are so well-rounded as an artist, visually and sonically, it definitely adds to it. Like for me, I'm a musician, but for the good portion of my life, I was like horrible musician. So no one was at my shows anyway. So live streaming really wasn't that big of a deal for me. I was the same loneliness, except I didn't have to pay a cover, so it worked out well for me.
We've all been there. We all started there. I mean, there was not that my music has changed that much, but there was a time when I thought I sucked. But those bad thoughts have flown away.
Definitely. And what's really, really interesting is you have no problem being that square peg. I have seen you on, different types of bills, and you're not going to change your style or what you do visually or sonically for the bill. This is who you are. This is same wings, same guy every time. And it's absolutely incredible. So much so that we, in New Haven, there's this incredible thing called the Rock Lottery. And that's actually one of the first places I met you officially. And instead of you kind of 100% compromising your sound, you were able to bring the other members of the band into your sound, and that actually helped catapult you to those next levels. And I thought it was incredible.
Yeah. The other members of the group referred to me as their secret weapon.
Yes. Now,
and
were you the secret weapon, or was the fog machine the secret weapon? Because I've seen the documentary, and some people say it was the fog machine.
I mean, yeah, the fog machine is always a main ingredient in pretty much everything I do. Yeah, that definitely helped. But the judges, when they were judging us, they said that they've never seen a level of theatrics as we had presented. And everyone did their part. And that year with Mobius Striptease, like everyone brought it. I mean, I was their secret weapon, but like I got really lucky with the people that I got placed with. It wasn't just me.
Right.
It was, everyone contributed. And honestly, like it was a little stressful, obviously, because you're on a time limit. You're on a very strict time limit. And, by the fact that it took me 3 years to get an album out, I don't like strict time limits. But yeah, that was so much fun. I missed it this past year. I was looking forward to it, but obviously I understand, so yeah. Hopefully 2021, I'll be back in it.
Definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hopefully my health will be okay, and I will be 100% in it as well. So, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. You had a question,
maybe we'll
Preston.
Wind up in the same band. Maybe it's the luck of the draw.
We win.
Falconeer, tell me about the Glamour Assassins. Who came up with that name? Did you or somebody else? And how did you join the group?
How do you know about them?
He's the journalist. I'm the one that looks cute. That's
wow.
He's the journalist. I look cute and funny. That's the job here.
Digging in the dirt, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who came up with Glamour Assassins? That would be Mr. Jared Savas. He was the architect of Glamour Assassins.
Okay. Thank you for that very blunt answer.
I had nothing to do with it. I mean, if you want me to ramble on, the story.
Yeah. This is an interesting title. I thought like you did like music with them, and I thought it was like a whole journey you had with them, and a lot of experience you had with that.
Oh, I did.
It sounded so cool.
Oh yeah.
More about that.
You were in a band called Glamour Assassins. Yes. Moving on. So yeah. So I'm interesting story. I met Jared years and years ago, years before Glamour Assassins. I think through Craigslist or something, and he's like trying to join or trying to make this like synth pop like rock and roll thing. I was like, okay, sounds cool. I'm kind of bored and I really want to get into synths. Right. So we jammed together a little bit, and then like 6 months went by, and then he got busy and I got busy, and it just kind of dissolved, which is fine. And then years later, going through a really bad breakup and looking for something to take up my time, and I go on Craigslist and I find an ad very similar to Jared's. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds pretty cool. And I'm trying to get into synths, and I email, and the email back is, no shit, Gil, it's Jared. And he's like, unfortunately, we already have a synth player, but we need a bassist. And I was like, I don't have a bass. I don't own a bass. I own a guitar. And he's like, we have a bass for you. Just come. He's like, I know you're good. I know your work ethic. Just show up to the practice and let's see what happens. And sure enough, yeah, I joined as the bassist, and that was awesome. That was not my first performing band, but I think the one where I was able to like really let myself shine, so to speak. Right. And then while I was in that band, I was slowly developing Falconeer.
Okay. All right. So it was in the beginning stages. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Now, was your first band Mobius Striptease?
No. Mobius Striptease was just this thing that I have a hard time accepting happened. Because not in a bad way. It was just so weird. I showed up to that thing because people were telling me about Rock Lottery and like, yo, you have to come. I think it was probably Tristan. Or wait, who? So okay, yeah. And I show up, I have no idea what's going on. I get the names drawn, and all of a sudden I meet like 5 new people. I did actually know, I knew our bassist because in Glamour Assassins we had played with his band, If Jesus Had Machine Guns.
Right.
And then, I mean, you really don't have time to like, I wound up liking all of them, but you don't have time to process whether or not you like these people. You're just like, okay, well, we have a job to do. And if we don't have a product in like a month, we're going to be super fucking embarrassed.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gil.
Break it down. PG.
Sorry.
Lester Radio. Well, me and Dustin trying to have this for a long time, and we got a good thing going. But we're really that you're here.
Lo siento, my apologies.
Absolutely. You talked about being in a band, and what I'm getting from your answer is it probably felt more like a job than actually having fun, actually going out there and just being, yourself. Would that go to a solo career?
At first it felt like a job, but once we started performing and I started to get to know everyone, it felt like less of a job. And then we wound up winning that year, and it was the first year I joined, and it was an amazing experience. I think the reason that I started going solo is because I really tried to crack the nut of trying to start a full band. Many times I've gone down that avenue, and with varying success. And I hate to say that I'm a control freak because I don't think I am. However, I don't think people are ready for the specifics of the band when they ask like, oh, what do you want me to do? So I'm like, well, there's an outfit, there's a uniform. I do have a second one of these. I have many pairs of these, and like that's a thing you're gonna have to be comfortable with. Are you okay with wearing like a costume on stage? and like this is the kind of music that we're playing. And I'm, I was looking for a vocalist for a while, and I wanted them to develop lyrics and develop their own kind of persona with that. But it's not that there was headbutting. It was just, I think this might go for a lot of people that see me live. They don't quite understand what I'm trying to do.
Nah.
I mean, yeah, Dustin, you've seen it plenty of times. People walk in and they just kind of freeze and they look and they're like, do I have the right night? Is what, is there a fire in here? Why is the fire purple?
Is that a keytar? Who brings a keytar?
Why is that man wearing costume wings?
I think from what I'm getting from you, Falconeer, I think the whole reason you wanted to go on your own is you wanted to step outside the box. You want people to introduce a new experience when you go to these live shows. And that's very unique about you, because I saw you a couple times where I was going back and forth shows with Easy on Crown Street, as we know. And you just brought a unique experience to the audience. I remember when you had the smoke machine and no one could see you for a good, I think 3 or 4 minutes, and then just the instrumental started playing. It felt like I was at like an old school Daft Punk show back in like the early 90s, like when everything was coming out. Were they a big influence to you?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's obvious Daft Punk influences. I mean, originally I was experimenting with the whole helmet and blinky lights thing. I realized that I sweat too much for that. So I needed something that breathed a little bit more. Absolutely. And when I came up with the name Falconeer, obviously the wings entered the logo, and then I got my own wings, and things just kind of evolved from there. But yeah, I love the music scene around here. I have many friends in it. But I have always been of the school of thought that your music isn't just heard by your ears, if that makes sense. Like, you can see plenty of bands, and the bands you're going to remember, regardless of whether or not their music is good or not,
right,
is the bands that are like moving around on stage, interacting with the crowd, having fun. That's what you're going to remember. And you'll be like, what was that band? What was that band with the guy and the costume wings and the blinky lights and the fog? Oh yeah. So you can have great music, but if you get on stage and you're frozen, you're just sitting there and it's like you're just reproducing sound. You're not performing, So I wanted to do something where I could do a full, almost like arena show, but scale it down to something that fits on local stages.
That's cool. That's really cool. That's cool. And you're on this local stage right now on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. Tell me about your latest album, Deja Reeve, if I pronounce that right. Why the title, and why, about this new experience you want to give to the audience?
Deja Reeve. Yes. It's kind of a like sister term to deja vu.
Okay.
So deja Reeve means already dreamed, or deja vu means already happened. So I call it that just because not only am I fascinated by the subject of deja Reeve and deja vu and all these things the mind does and that we're still trying to figure out. And deja Reeve is called Deja Reeve because some of these songs I had partially written in dreams. I don't know if that's happened to you guys, where like a riff comes to you, or like you hear a song in a dream and you're like, what song is that? And you get up and you're like going through the catalog up here, and you realize, wait a minute, I wrote that.
Yes.
So that's why I called it Deja Reeve. And also because obviously it's dripping with nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
So
I definitely hear it. I definitely hear like the old school 80s vibe from it, especially when I was hearing a couple tracks earlier before this broadcast. One song that we're going to premiere at the end of the broadcast is Metro, which was one of my favorite tracks that you had from the album.
Oh, I haven't had someone pick that one out yet. Nice.
We're different.
Yeah.
Definitely happy to be the first. And what I kind of got from it, because I'm like a little geek for like the old school video games and like the old school play right there, I felt like I was right back at the arcade. Is that the kind of feeling you wanted to give to the fans when they listen to this for the first time?
Yeah. So there's you can definitely feel the video game influences in my music.
Mm-hmm.
I try to like kind of merge. It's very 80s centric, obviously, but when people say 80s music, I think they forget that there was a whole nother genre of music in video games at the time. So if you were alive then, you were playing, you know, the original Nintendo or the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, like all that pre-CD era stuff. You could find these amazing soundtracks. I was a nerd and I had no friends, so I played a lot of video games. And one of the biggest influences on me musically were those games, like Mega Man 2 had an amazing soundtrack. Sonic 2 had an amazing soundtrack. Streets of Rage 2 is an amazing soundtrack, which I have plans to do something with that in the future. So that's why I kind of have the 80s pop influence and the video game influence, and I try to merge them together into something that most people who hear it seem to like.
Yeah, definitely, man. It feels like you took a lot of time into it. How many tracks did not make the album?
Oh, well, it depends on define track. So what I had to do is I have obviously there's more material than what's on the album. Right. And what I had to do is kind of not draw a line, but designate between what I've done in the past and what I'm moving towards. Right. So a lot of the stuff that you hear on this album, some of the tracks are completely done on my Nintendo DS.
Really?
That's awesome.
Really? That's interesting. I never knew it can that video game system can do that.
You watched it happen.
When did I watch it happen? I was under a rock. When did I watch that?
The cellar. At the cellar.
At the cellar.
Yeah. Giuliano was harassing him because he was doing it.
I was probably with Pete at the bar, man.
Probably, yeah.
to notice that, but I didn't know a little system to do that. It was very interesting.
Yeah, that's how I started writing this music. Before I had a name, before I even thought about performing this stuff in front of people, like 10 years ago, I started using a program I found on a Nintendo DS to write music. And actually, the first song on the album, Tiger Lily, is like 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Awesome. That's crazy, man. Technology is amazing these days, bro. It really is.
So then, as I started performing with it, you know, and people were like, "Is that a Nintendo DS?" And then I'd have some sound guys looking at me like, "Bro, I am not plugging my soundboard into that." And also, I started realizing that as much as I loved keeping that sound, that I was kind of hindering myself by sticking to my guns, so to speak. So over the course of that, I started moving over to Ableton, which is black magic as far as I'm concerned. It's an amazing program. So I started moving toward that throughout the production of all these songs. So there's some songs that are 100% Nintendo DS, and then there's some songs that are like 75% Nintendo DS, and then the rest is like Ableton. But now the stuff I'm writing, it's all within Ableton, and it's amazing how different it sounds in a good way. Like obviously I'm keeping it's still going to be dripping with 80s nostalgia, but it might be moving more towards like real 80s pop and less from the video game sound. Obviously, the writing style might be similar, but like one of the songs I'm working on right now actually surprisingly has wound up sounding like Fine Young Cannibals.
Word.
So
Okay.
I was very happy with that, and new technology has really allowed me to spread my wings.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Considering we're talking about how much you love the dripping with 80s nostalgia, I want to say the costume, we'll say. I get the automatic vibe of Revenge of the Nerds when they do the competition and it walks out with the electric violin and it's all punk rocked out. Is that where you came from with this?
That is definitely part of it. That was one of my favorite parts of any movie growing up, that like 20-second little concert. But that, which obviously that came from Devo. Devo was the influence of that.
Mm-hmm.
So Devo did a lot of jumpsuit stuff back in the day.
True.
And I really like, I'm all for people expressing themselves individually, but I think there's something to be said when a band or a performer has a very cohesive image. Right. Especially the more performers there are. Like if you look at Kraftwerk, one of my other influences, they dress the same no matter what they're wearing. They all have exactly the same outfit, and it looks like they're almost doing the same thing. Like they're part of a machine,
Right.
And when that happens, when that cohesion happens, it's beautiful, and it like etches itself into your mind. It's really hard to forget what you've seen. So I've always been a fan of that. Just the
right.
almost like the Power Rangers vibe.
That's awesome. Preston's a huge Power Rangers fan. It's amazing.
I actually am.
I know you are.
Back in the day, yes, I actually am. I'm old school Power Rangers, the first cast. So that's what I got.
Okay.
That's the best one, obviously.
Obvious.
Of course. All sub languages that they had when they were fighting. I loved it. The whole bad cutting. I can go on all day. We can have like a different podcast about that. But
yeah, you want to talk Saban for like an hour?
Yeah. I'll get you information after the show. Falconeer, what other musicians do you admire? Who inspired you to do what you do? What other people?
So, okay. Yeah, obviously, as I said, Daft Punk, Devo, Prince. Prince became a big influence on the synthesizer aspect. Hall and Oates.
Okay.
The 80s, the mid 80s stuff specifically. Justice, if you've heard of them. Justice,
really?
They're contemporaries of Daft Punk. They actually they all come from the same region of France, because otherwise it's just sparkling techno. You're welcome, Dustin. David Bowie has always been an influence, not just musically, but aesthetically, because he never cared. Ever. And he changed like a chameleon when he thought it was the right time to shed his skin and start anew. And I always admired that about him. I'm sure there's other influences. I just can't think of them.
I definitely get the David Bowie and Prince from you, especially because you love to stand out and you love to be seen. And
I try. It
really does show, man. What are some of your biggest pet peeves when it comes to the studio?
The studio.
Your apartment.
You mean where I am now? Okay.
When it comes to recording, that's better word. When it comes to
my pet peeves are, honestly, it's me. It's all me. I hate me when I'm recording. Because I not only am I the one doing it, but
Mhm.
I have trouble finishing an idea. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't mean that it's not finished. Like if I played it for you guys, you'd be like, oh, that's an awesome song. I'm like, no, I'm not done. That's
Right.
like 50% done. And I've had to learn how to just say, this is done. You can't
Right.
have all of your songs be 7 minutes long.
Right.
Like you just finish a thought and move on. So honestly, it's me. I'm the biggest hurdle.
So you find yourself to be your own worst enemy.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, definitely. I mean, who else am I gonna blame?
Well, it's really interesting because you talked about how you don't think you're a control freak, and I don't honestly think you're a control freak at all. But you did say early on that you enjoy the live stream because you had 100% creative control. And you enjoy these processes because you have that 100% freedom to do whatever you want to do. And I've also found it very difficult to learn how to scale back when you have that freedom, because you're literally giving the kid the key to the candy store and expecting not to have rainbow vomit, So I get it.
Yeah. I'm I mean, you know me. I love meeting new people and I love working with people, but I have a singular vision. And I think every musician has said that phrase numerous times. I have a singular vision. I think mine is very specific and it might turn people off who may want to work with me. And I'm fine with that. I've finally gotten to the point where, you know what? I'll do it myself.
Right.
And it'll be fine. I just have to have faith in me.
Right.
It definitely shows, brother. And when you talk about do it yourself, how much of yourself do you put into your merchandise? Because just the marketing of you is just amazing.
That's all me. I mean,
Awesome.
I have obviously the pictures of me when I'm playing or my press photos, those are all taken by photographers, mostly, local professional photographers that I tend to use more than once. I like a lot of them.
Mhm.
I designed the merch. I designed the logo. I made my own website. I've done pretty much everything myself.
Nah, that's kudos to you, man. Because some people won't even take that leap of just invest in themselves. So that's just a kudos to you, brother. Because
That's the worst part about being a one-man show is you have yes, you get to keep all the money,
right,
but you're also the one spending all of the money.
All of the
And
money.
you're only one person. So I have all of this awesome, fun equipment that I use to film other people, but I can't film myself at my shows.
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, but I think it's where I need to be at the moment.
No, I definitely would agree with that. Now, that actually leads us into this next amazing transition. You've now gone and you were recording other people. You've had some music videos for some other people. What is it like now to be going with someone else's vision? Spending so much time in your own vision for everything you do musically for Falconeer. What is Falconeer Productions like?
Falconeer Productions kind of just happened.
I know.
I didn't really have much of a plan. It was more like, hey, Gil is really good with theatrics and he owns some equipment. Let's see if he can make a music video. And so that's when I made the music video for the write-offs. And at that point, I mean, really all I had was just like a normal DSLR and I had a GoPro and some stuff that I bring to my shows. And it worked out great. It worked out better than I could have dreamed. And people started seeing it and saying, Gil, why don't you do this for real?
Right.
So then I made some investments. Actually, this camera here is my main camera. This is a wonderful little piece of technology. And like the green screen, the extra lights. I have like a new drone now. So I've been trying to build that portfolio. And to any bands that may be listening to this, I am now booking for any work you might need. If you just want like a little social media video, great, all the way up to a full music video. And you can check out Falconeer Productions on Instagram, Facebook. I've got stuff coming down the pipe from me, for me, and from me. And from some other bands too. So yeah, whenever I take a job from someone, especially something like a music video, I do ask those questions. Like, do you have a vision?
Right.
And are there holes in that vision? Like, do we need to do some spitballing and some creative process on this? With the write-offs, luckily I knew all of them, and they were pretty much just like, they had like a 1-sentence pitch, and I'm like, okay, I got it. Great, let's do it. So they were very flexible. Their next video, which I also helped them on, they had the idea on. So on that one, I did have to relinquish some control, which I'll admit I had a little bit of a problem with, because, and I don't know if it's me being selfish or if it's me just wanting to make sure it's like the best product we can make. Right now, and this is stepping way outside my box, on the Falconeer production side of thing, I am currently in pre-production on a local short film.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I don't think I can say much more than that, except for the fact that I will be working with a handful of people, and I will not be the boss.
Word.
Congratulations to you for that.
Awesome. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, behind the brand with myself, Prestige, and Long Island Rays, Elm City Made. Easy Bluez is in the building. Falconeer, if I can barely speak, is with us on Behind the Brand. Falconeer, what's some other stuff that you have planned for the rest of 2021?
Rest of 2021. Okay, now that the first album is out,
right,
and I promise not to take 3 years to make the next one, or 10 years, depending on what timeline you follow. I do have new stuff in the works that, as shows, which is another thing, I want to play shows. I want to see people. I want to hug people. You'll be hearing new stuff at shows as the year goes on. I would love to have something ready to go by the end of the year. Maybe not a full album, but a new EP, because the new stuff I'm writing, I think, is way better than what's on the first album. But I think every musician would say that.
Shows are being planned, though.
Yes, they are.
They definitely are being planned. So that could be a huge possibility this year. Crossing fingers that it does happen, and it happens very safely too, because I know a lot of venues are doing half capacity now, which is pretty good for musicians, because our last year, and we've been talking, and when we debuted the show last year, is a lot of musicians like yourself and Easy and many others have been, trying to adjust, because as of right now, probably in about 2 to 3 weeks is your peak season, your season where you go all around to network, to build new relationships, to even go out of state. And probably we'll see Falconeer in California, or maybe Las Vegas. I can actually see you at Las Vegas, brother. I had some couple of venues in Las Vegas doing your thing. That totally fits you. That whole environment out there, and
it's the costume wings.
Hold on, I'm picturing it right now. The Feathered Friends show on the Vegas Strip. Shane Penguin, Falconeer. every hour on the hour.
It'll definitely
Feathered Friends. Fantastic.
Now, is that a family-friendly show?
No.
That's up to the both of you. It's going to be a family-friendly show.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
But if the huge possibility of, shows do happen, venues start opening up in other states, do you see yourself going to any places outside of Connecticut to show your craft?
Of course. Actually, it was just a couple months before everything started. I was playing in New York at the Way Station.
Awesome.
And it was such, I don't know if you guys have been to the Way Station, but it's a nerd bar. It's great. Like their toilet is literally a TARDIS. And I showed up there, and it was with some bands that didn't exactly fit my style of music. One of them called the Dream Eaters, who I've played with a few times. They're from New York. And I finished out the night. Again, one of those nights where nobody knew me. No one knew what I was going to do. Right. And by the end of that night, room was filled with fog and sweaty bodies, and it was amazing. So I would really love to get back to that. I want to get back into New York as much as possible. I mean, heck, I'll play anywhere.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like I've said this, or I've said it in my head and never actually said it to you. One of my very good friends that I kind of grew up with through college, this man, Vlad Villette, he is the lead singer of synth pop band Mystic Underground. They're in New York. I've got to connect you guys, because I'm telling you right now, I think it'd be a ton of fun. It'd be a great show. He looks like Darius Rucker, but sings like Andy Bell.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got you.
Yeah. Any synth pop bands that may be listening, please let me know. I mean, I love Connecticut and I love New Haven, but making some bills happen can be a little difficult sometimes due to genre contrasts.
True. So, well, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about with you in particular. A lot of people will get into a scene, and New Haven had a phenomenal jam band scene, and then it went a little bit back to the singer-songwriter aspect, and then there was a little bit of a punk rock feel, and this is just within the past 5 years. And throughout this entire aspect, this is who you are. This is the show you put on, no matter what. No matter if it's Stella Blues and, it's Super Shot Night and, Yale has a bunch of people there that probably have no idea what's going on, or you're playing, like you said, the Way Station that is, a geek friendly bar. You don't change. How difficult is that for you? Like, it's very difficult in this industry when you are original and you are super original. And so, let people know, like, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you had asked me that 3 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of scary. Now it's more interesting than anything. Because at first, if the viewers, listeners go all the way back on my Instagram or my Facebook, like, you'll see shows of me playing in relatively normal clothing. A little flair here and there, but nothing like what you're seeing now or what you see at a live show. Right. And it took me a little while to get over myself and to like the first time I got in a white jumpsuit and got on stage, and the first white jumpsuit, by the way, left very little to the imagination, and I had to get up on stage in that. This one's much better. And I think people were definitely confused at first. And every show that I play, new people who don't know me, they're definitely confused. But then I get off stage and I mingle around, and I don't change right away. I like walk around the bar like this and say hi to people. It's like Power Rangers. When I'm in this, I am Falconeer. Right. When I get out of this, or before the show, I am, I'm my street name.
Yes, your government.
Yeah, my government issued ID name. And it's been interesting, the type of people that will say hi to me after the show versus like before the show or when I'm in my normal clothes. And I've gotten a lot of interesting questions. Some questions I probably should not repeat here.
Definitely not. PGG.
But some people react to me like, yeah, like they're kids and they're meeting like a guy in a Batman suit.
Right.
Then some people just eye me from across the venue and they're like, what is up with that guy?
Well, I actually wanted to thank you for doing what you do, because doing what you do has allowed performers like myself to take extra chances, to say, hey, if this guy is willing to go into the same bar that I was terrified when I first came to New Haven, to even walk into. But if this guy can go up there on this stage and do this, then there's no reason why I shouldn't carry around the stuffed penguin, for our shows. Or, I know, like, if Gil is at one of your shows, and this is not in his getup, like if the actual human being is at one of your shows and what the industry term is, he pops, oh, that was great. You did something awesome. And I thank you for that, because, you have given that extra spark when sometimes a crowd can get a little bit dull. And I really, really appreciate that.
Of course. I mean, this is, at first it was just me expressing myself for the most part and figuring out, how do I stand out among a very, very talented music scene? But as I go on, it's more like, this is just what I feel like doing. This is me having fun. Yes, I'd love to perform for people, and I love for those people to have fun too. But honestly, number one priority is, if I'm not having fun, then what's the point? And I hope this translates to other people struggling with other things. Like, don't be afraid to be who you really are. Because when you're who you really are, you'll meet the people and you'll get that circle that you've wanted. Right. And if you don't present like the way you feel, then you're just doing yourself a disservice. I know it's not as easy as that. I know. And it takes a while to build up to that. It took me a while to build up to it too. But doing this was one of the best decisions of my life.
Amen, brother. Amen. And I think it's incredible. And I love the fact that you understand that you are making that broader statement as well. And you also understand how hard it is for those people to make those broader statements. And anyone who is struggling with making those statements about who they really are, look, I'm easy to find. Falconeer is easy to find. Feel free to blow up our inboxes. Let's have conversations. I am 100% judgment-free zone. You can, tell me you think you're, a toilet plunger. I'll be like, word, let's go hang out. And that's fine. Because that's the reality, is no one has the right to tell you what you believe or who you are or what you are. No one, period. So be yourself and love yourself, because you are worth loving. I think that is one of the key things that I absolutely admire about you. So much so. And I know that there's sometimes the darkness creeps in, and I know it's not easy all the time, but you really are that shining light when it's needed. I mean, even for myself, who I'm just a weird dude with tattoos, I don't have those extra, things, but you really have made it comfortable for me to 100% be as loud as I can be. And thank you for that, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I want you to be as loud as you can be, because we're going to premiere your song almost right now. But before we do that, please just tell us about your social media and everything where fans can find and reach you before we do this.
So you can find me on Facebook. Just search for Falconeer. That's Falcon EER, not Falconer, Falconeer, like Musketeer. You can also find me on Instagram _Falconeer_. You can find me on my website, www.falconeer.net. And then obviously, coming very soon, you can find me on pretty much every streaming media platform under the sun.
Yes.
Falconeer, thanks for being part behind the brand. We appreciate you, and keep doing what you do, brother.
Thank you guys. It was great.
Falconeer Metro, WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven.